Okay, class, so we've just talked about speed. We've talked about how to calculate speed. We've talked about the variables necessary to calculate it, right? And to know speed, you need distance and you need time, okay? But now the question is, what happens if you have speed and one other variable like distance or time, and you need to find that last variable, okay? So that's what we're getting into today. So let me show you. All right. So calculating speed, there's some cool tricks we can do, guys. So here's some review, okay? We know that speed is how much distance a person or an object can cover in a given amount of time. We've already defined it, we've talked about it, okay? And we know it can be represented in the equation speed equals distance over time, or speed equals distance, or s equals d over t. Same thing. The d over t is division, just like a fraction. So for example, we have a distance of 126 meters. We have a time of 34.2 seconds. So what do? S equals, speed equals 126 meters divided by 34.2 seconds. And if you plug that into your calculator like we've done already, you would get 3.7 meters per second. Okay, a couple things to remember. One, always show your work when you're doing these problems. That doesn't mean you need to do long division, it just means you need to show me the fraction. The second thing is always use units. Okay, you notice I have meters, m for meters, s for seconds, and in my answer I have m/s, which means meters per second. And then lastly, you're going to need the answer. But what if we already know the speed and need to find something else, like distance, or maybe we need to find the time? So for example, a car is driving 65 miles an hour for 22 hours. How far did it travel? Well, how am I going to find that out? Or another example, a person walks 2 laps around the track, which is 400 meters, at 0.98 meters per second. Okay, how long did it take them? So here are the formulas, and they're very simple. Speed equals distance over time, we know that. If you work around the algebra, which you'll learn about in 8th or 9th grade, you'll find that you can reorganize the variables so that time equals distance over speed. Or lastly, if you have speed and time, we know that distance equals speed times time. Now the formula that you use is dependent on the variables that I've given you. I will give you 2 of the 3, and you're going to have to find the unknown variable. So if I give you distance and time, you would use the top equation. If I gave you distance and speed, you would use the second equation. And if I gave you speed and time, you would use the third equation. But fortunately, there's a much cooler trick to memorize this than just memorizing those 3 equations. Okay, so here it is, and I love to call it affectionately the magic speed triangle, and it looks like this. We'll get a chance to copy this down in our notebooks later, but for now, just appreciate the beauty of the magic triangle. Here's how it works. We're going to use this example. A rock rolls down a 542 meter hill, traveling at 4.5 meters per second. How long did it take to get to the bottom? So here are the steps to solving this problem. Step number 1. First, we need to determine which variable, d, s, or t, we're looking for. Okay, in this case, it gives us the distance, 542 meters, and speed, 4.5 meters per second, and asks us how long, which implies we're looking for time. So t is the unknown, so we would write t equals, because that's the thing we're looking for. Step 2. Use your thumb to cover the missing variable on the triangle. Okay, let me do that again. Okay, your thumb needs to cover the variable that you're looking for. Bink! Okay, so now we're left with D and S. Now, step 3, use the remaining variables to construct your equation. If one variable is on top of the other, that means divide, like a fraction. If one variable is next to the other, that means to multiply. So in this case, we have the D over the S, so we know to divide. So it'll look like this. T equals D divided by S. And then all we do is we plug in the values, which are the numbers, for each variable, and we solve it. So let's solve it together, okay? We have T equals D over S, which equals 542 meters divided by 4.5 meters per second, which is what we're getting from our example. And we plug that into our calculator, we round to the nearest tenth, and we're left with 120.4 seconds. It's simple, guys. Super, super simple. But we have time for one more example. So here's the question. How far would you get if you drove 33 miles per hour for 12.2 hours? So what's the piece of information we're missing? What are we looking for? We have miles per hour, which means we have speed, and we have 12.2 hours, which means we have time. So which is it? What are we missing? We're missing distance. We're missing D. D is what we're looking for. So bam! Cover up the D with your thumb. Write out the equation that you see. Now remember, if the variables are next to each other, that means multiply. So D equals, and this time it's multiply, S times T. D equals S times T. Now we just plug in the numbers, and we get D equals 33 miles per hour, which is our speed, times 12.2 hours, which is our time, and our answer after plugging it in the calculator is 402.6 miles. Notice that I showed my work, I showed my units, and obviously I showed my answer. So we're going to practice this now. You'll have the rules in front of you on your worksheet, and you'll have lots of opportunities to do the math. And if you need to watch the video again, please do. And good luck to you guys.